Good.
What's your mood?
Happy?
Happy? Well, are you ready for long flight?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Ну, вы знаете, куда вы летите?
Do you know where I'm heading to?
No.
No?
No.
Вы летите домой.
You fly back home
To the U.S.
to the US.
Oh.
Да, конечно.
Okay.
Так что все будет нормально.
Everything will be fine.
Victor Boot, in my eyes, is one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
On the face of the earth.
Without a doubt.
All right, guys. So speaking on the Biden administration being an embarrassment to this country on a national level, on a domestic level, he's also an embarrassment on an international level because we're literally being mocked and laughed at, ridiculed, because we really gave away a Russian arms dealer who, by the way, was trying to sell weapons to an undercover DA agent posing as a part of a Colombian group that, again, was conspiring to use those weapons against Americans. This guy had no issues selling weapons to that guy, right? Or wanting to sell weapons to that guy, allegedly. Okay. We gave away him for Brittney Griner, a black lesbian WNBA basketball player, and left a Marine behind, right? Everybody who doesn't have woke colored shades on knows that Joe Biden got robbed blind, right? We got finessed. Again, Victor Bout, I read into this guy, okay? We gave away a monster, right? This guy is a monster, okay? This guy is a logistics genius. He knows like 5 languages. Like, he has mastery of 5 languages, okay? He coordinated the importation and smuggling of tens of thousands of weapons into Africa, right? Allegedly, this included anti-aircraft missiles, okay? So this guy was responsible for transporting missiles, right? There's no doubt in my mind. Putin putting this man on the battlefield, right, in Ukraine as some type of logistics guy, some type of general, because I think he was like a lieutenant colonel or something like that in the Soviet Union, in the army back in the day as well too. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. Putin putting this man to work immediately, right? This will not be the last time we have to deal with this guy, right? But we know for sure Putin ain't dealing with Brittney Griner anymore, right? Again, that is who we gave up for Brittney Griner. I want to trade a ham sandwich for Brittney Griner, bruh, let alone a guy like that, right? And then Joe Biden has the unmitigated gall to come out here and to lecture people on gun violence, okay, and the victims of gun violence, when this man literally just released the most legendary arms dealer in history, right? Right back to Russia. Set him free.
Scripture says the light shines in darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Together, we made some important progress. The most significant gun law passed in 30 years, but still not enough. Still not enough. Even as our work continues to limit the number of bullets that can be in a cartridge, the type of weapons that can be purchased and sold, the attempt to ban assault weapons, a whole range of things that are just common sense.
Yeah, just common sense, right? Common sense. The guy who is supposed to be for gun control just let the most legendary and prolific arms dealer in history free, right? But again, this is why we're not taken seriously. This is why the world is laughing at us, including Russian state TV. And I want to talk about this real quick, and then I'm going to get into a much more serious conversation about what is actually going on here, and the fact that the Biden administration and the mainstream liberal media seem to be colluding once again to push a narrative, aka lies, that are favorable to the Biden administration, specifically about this situation right here. But let's talk about this, what's going on with this Russian state television mocking the U.S., right? One of the moderators, right, doing a hilarious video clip said this, quote, his first problem is that he is white, the moderator said. He's referring to Paul Whelan and why Joe Biden chose Brittney Griner over Paul Whelan, which again, the mainstream liberal media and the Biden administration said that's not what happened, but we have evidence to the contrary. We're going to talk about that in a little bit here, but I want to read this first. This is according to a translation obtained by Fox News Digital. Quote, his second problem is he is a man. His third problem, he is a heterosexual. Quote, this is not something that can be forgiven today. It's just a catastrophe. Yes, here, Griner beats him in every aspect. Yeah, she has the Infinity Stones of wokeness, right? Paul Whelan does not have the Infinity Stones of wokeness. Could you guys imagine if Joe Biden actually let Paul Whelan come back, right? He traded Victor Bout for Paul Whelan and left Brittney Griner over there. This country would be in an uproar, right? You would hear nothing but accusations of racism, right? Homophobia. The woke revolutionaries would be marching the street. They would have lost their minds, okay? But again, the Biden administration and the mainstream liberal media claims that was an option, right? It wasn't an option. Again, we have evidence to the contrary. We're going to get into that in a little bit. The moderator goes on to falsely claim American voters were given a choice between Griner and Whelan in exchange for the Merchant of Death, when in fact it was the Biden administration that made the decision. The moderator added that it was a victory for Russia that the U.S. chose a celebrity over a former Marine, as it shows what the United States values. Yeah, speak for Joe Biden, right? Don't speak for everybody else. I think most people who are in tune with this situation actually disagree. Everybody knows that this was a finesse. So yeah, the Biden administration claims they're going to keep trying to bring Paul Whelan home, which again, I don't have much hope at this point because we gave up a whole lot of leverage, okay? And that brings me to this story right here, which is the real reason I want to talk about Brittney Griner once again, and probably why I'm probably not going to ever let this go. I'm going to be pissed off about this forever because we left a Marine in Russia because of a political stunt. This is a political ploy from the Biden administration, and it is very obvious what's going on, and the mainstream liberal media is once again complicit in pushing a false narrative, aka a lie, in favor of the Biden administration, and we actually have proof of that. As again, guys, according to the Biden administration and the mainstream liberal media, Biden didn't have a choice, right? It was either Brittney Griner for Victor Bout or no trade at all, right? This is what they said. Paul Whelan was never even an option, right? So they didn't have a choice. They had to trade for Brittney Griner. Okay, Paul Whelan was not on the table. This is what they tell people, okay, as a way to excuse the fact that, again, they left a Marine behind. And I want to say, even if that was the case, which I don't believe, right? I don't believe that was the case. In that situation, you tell Russia to kick rocks, right? Brittney Griner, again, is not worth a ham sandwich, right? In regards to trading for, we're not going to make that trade. Not no arms dealer, not no prized possession like Victor Bout, okay? I'm just saying, you got to get the Marine in that situation. And if you can't get the Marine, then there's no deal. But what you don't do is you don't give up all your leverage and then turn around and tell the American people, well, we didn't have a choice. We just had to give them away for Brittney Griner, right? Again, it's insane. What's even more insane is that the mainstream liberal media is complicit in this political stunt from the Biden administration. So let's read about this, because this is an awesome Substack here from Jordan Stachtel. On Thursday morning, the Biden administration announced that WNBA player Brittney Griner had been freed from a Russian prison in exchange for Victor Bout, a notorious Russian arms dealer who was known to Western intelligence agencies as, quote, the Merchant of Death. The seeming lopsided trade was made worse by the reality that American citizen Paul Whelan, who served in the U.S. Marine Corps, was left behind in Russia. For several months, the Biden administration had been publicly indicating their intent to try to secure the release of both Griner and Whelan in exchange for Mr. Bout. Before announcing Thursday, they had secured Griner in a 1-to-1 exchange. Did the Biden administration choose Griner over Whelan? Although Biden officials and the president himself have denied that was the case, several pieces of evidence seem to indicate that Griner was indeed prioritized over Whelan, and that Moscow allowed the Biden administration to choose either individual for the 1-to-1 swap. Yeah, again, that makes so much sense to me. And the reason why it makes so much sense to me is because Victor Bout is the real deal. Okay, Paul Whelan, Russia accused him of being a spy, right? You know, I mean, he probably has some skills as well too, right? So, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that they weren't going to give up both. They probably were unwilling to give up both, but they probably did let them choose, and Russia already knew who Biden was going to choose because they know that our administration is more concerned about woke virtue signaling, right, and scoring these points rather than actually doing the right thing. Because, again, what makes Paul Whelan, or put it this way, what makes Brittney Griner so much more valuable than Paul Whelan? Paul Whelan has spent more time there, right? Brittney Griner still need to do some hard labor, okay? I mean, he's been in there for years. Brittney Griner been in there for a few months. Again, amazing. The corporate media, citing senior Biden administration officials, have delivered clues about the prisoner swap options. NBC News, a known regurgitator of state propaganda, Steph edited its story about the decision to choose Brittney Griner over Paul Whelan. For reasons unknown, NBC News, citing a senior U.S. official, changed its entire narrative about the prison exchange. The key paragraph in question from NBC's story first read before being Steph edited, quote, a senior U.S. official told NBC News that the U.S. government had sought to have both Griner and Whelan released as part of a swap with the Kremlin, which wanted the return of Viktor Bout, a Russian arms dealer who has served 11 years of a 25-year sentence in the U.S. But the official said Russia has treated Whelan differently because he is an accused spy, and that the Kremlin gave the White House the choice of either Griner or Whelan or none. Yeah, so again, that's vastly different than what the Biden administration is saying. This is what NBC News initially first put out, right? This is what they initially first put out. Now, remember, this is the same organization that punished the reporter. I think his name's like Miguel Alvarez or something like that. They punished the reporter that actually told the truth about the Paul Pelosi story, right? That Paul Pelosi opened the door and didn't indicate that he was in any danger when the police got there. So we know that this outlet has no problem running with state propaganda. And once again, they're doing it, right? So they edited it to go with the White House narrative that it was either Griner or no one after different options were proposed, which I 100% don't believe, right? The NBC report also cites Whelan's Russian lawyer, right? Quote, Whelan's Russian lawyer, Vladimir, I'm not going to pronounce his last name, also said that the deal was an exchange of 1-to-1 and that choosing Griner, 32, appeared more humane because she is a woman and an Olympic champion, while Whelan was in the military and it is easier for him to be in custody. Ding, 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 ding. This person previously said that Russia offered a 1-to-1 swap for Whelan in exchange for Bout prior to Griner's detention. This offer was apparently rejected by U.S. officials. Additionally, Whelan's brother has indicated that just days ago, the former U.S. service member was being considered for a 1-to-1 swap. Yeah, so basically what's going on here, guys, is exactly what you think. Because Whelan is white, right? He's male, he's straight. There's no value. There's no political points to be scored, right? So it's like, nah, we're not trading a Russian arms dealer for a Marine, right? A lead spy, a guy that actually got some skills, okay? No, we're not going to do that. But, oh, man, Brittney Griner, though, right? A black, gay, lesbian WNBA player, okay? Yeah, totally worth trading an arms dealer for. Again, it just blows my mind. It blows my mind that people have not caught on to the tricks from the mainstream media. I'm going to tell you how scary this is, guys, and why this is so important, why I'm talking about this. I have friends who are liberal who literally just buy into everything the mainstream liberal media says, right? I literally had to tell them, I was like, you do realize that a Russian lawyer for Whelan contradicted Biden's story and that NBC News changed the narrative. Like, why do you believe anything that the Biden administration says? And that's why this stuff is so important to point out and call out, because this is what the media does. They are running propaganda for the state. They're not telling facts, right? They're not giving you the truth. They're covering for Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden is trying to score a big, woke LGBTQ victory right before Christmas, right? Right before the holidays, right? The end of the year. Guess what just passed through Congress, guys? The so-called Marriage Equality Act thing that they're doing is on Biden's desk, ready for him to sign. Brittney Griner just happened to come back home. It was announced the same day that it passed the House. CBS News sat on this story, knew about it, admitted it on TV. Yeah, we knew about this story last week, but we didn't say anything about it. Well, why is that? Because it was all coordinated, right? And I guarantee you, again, don't be surprised. When Biden goes to sign that legislation, guess who will be there? Brittney Griner will be there. Brittney Griner will be there. And he'll say, look, guys, I'm signing marriage equality for LGBTQ individuals. And look at Brittney Griner, who was wrongfully detained by Russia for smuggling drugs into the country, and her wife, right? These are great Americans, right? We're fighting for your rights. And you use this and you say, look, this is what we done for you, you Negroes, right? You black people, LGBTQ, look what we did. Look what we did for y'all. We bought Brittney Griner home, right? Ignore what we gave up, but we bought her home and then we signed this legislation. Absolutely incredible stuff, man. If people don't see what's going on here, I don't know what to tell you. Again, the worst part about it is that the media is in cahoots, right? They're in cahoots with the Biden administration running the propaganda. Happening right in front of our faces. But again, you have half of this country that just goes with this stuff. They just believe everything these people say. They don't look into it. They don't double check it. They don't question it. And that's why we have such an uphill battle when it comes to politics, guys, because the whole deck is stacked against us. You have to really be paying attention to understand this stuff. I mean, this guy Biden literally just gave up an arms dealer for a basketball player simply so he can score some points. Right? So he can score some woke points. Left the Marine in Russia. We know what the reaction would have been if Brittney Griner was left in Russia. If they did the right thing, they got Whelan out. If they would have left Brittney Griner in Russia, the wokes would have abandoned him. Right? That would have been the end for Biden. Again, I feel bad for Paul Whelan. I feel bad for his family. Unfortunately, we gave up our best leverage because, again, Biden wanted to put on a political show right before the end of the year. It really is a shame, man. It really is. It just goes to show you how toxic identity politics is in this country, right? Where your skin color, your sex, whether or not you like your genitals could be the determinant of whether or not the U.S. is actually going to fight for your freedom if you happen to get locked up in another country, okay? If you're the wrong skin color, if you like your genitals, if you like sleeping with people of the opposite sex, they're not going to try very hard to get you out, right? But if you have all the infinity stones of wokeness, they're going to bend over backwards and do whatever they can to get you out. But you might have to wait a little bit until they can all coordinate it with a whole bunch of other stuff they're doing, right? And have it all done at the same time. Kind of crazy. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.